Okay, so here's my new iteration through this whole handout, new set of thinking. Typically, let me actually save this someplace. E drive. A design, something like that. Of course, I could jump directly to UML modeling tool, but I'm still not there. I'm not even ready to start showing any UML diagrams for formal design of any kind. I just want to get more information about the classes. So let's roll all the way back here, and it's much more convenient if we could arrange some, maybe this whole thing on two screens. Since we don't have two screens, let's just like try this one screen here and see if we can work with this. Um, the airline, clearly this needs to be a class, right? So airline is a class, and it has a company name, right? And perhaps this is a private attribute, so therefore it's stored as a string, and also probably requires something like get name method, which returns a string. It's almost like writing Java code, right? Just thinking about one single class and doing all this. So then also set name. So getters and setters are required, and so this is the new name, and this is a string that will be specified by the user when they call this method. Then we also have the code, just simply code, I guess, right? So this is yet another string, right? Okay, that makes sense. Uh, and I'm looking at this, handout, and I'm trying to basically summarize what I can learn from it in this handout. So then we also have an aircraft model, another piece of data. Okay, that should work. That's another string, I suppose. Okay. So whatever user enters in those fields, that should be acceptable. Then obviously we need getters and setters for all of the data. So we need more get, right? More get methods are going to be needed, and more set methods going to be needed. Very similar to how we can get name and set name. Similarly, we should be able to get code, set code, get aircraft model, and so forth. All right, capacity, and again, I will just simplify it to something like this. You can add different capacities, and I suppose this is like an integer, right? So it's very easy to do something like this that looks almost like UML, but just a very short and brief text version of it. Flight attributes. So moving on to the next class, I will name it a flight, right? So I will say flight. And the flight will contain the airline code. Let's just spell this out. Airline code, which originates here. Obviously, the airline has to exist. Airline code apparently is another string. The flight number. Okay, we get that. And again, I kind of use this fancy, type of data at the end of the name following UML notation, other than, compared to. So I need my getters and setters here, of course, similarly to what I did with an airline. Definitely, you also need a constructor. Having a good constructor with all necessary parameters Doesn't hurt. It's always a good idea to have a good constructor. All right, so the status, apparently the status of the flight, right? The status can be we can even use like a single character for this. Why not? Could be. And the type. And sometimes since this is not something where I can add UML comments, sometimes I add this sort of like comment in line in my, when I do my thinking, and this will be just this thing, right? To annotate a little bit this information, just to say, okay, those characters can be S, C, D, or A for scheduled, canceled, and so forth. And similarly, the flight type. Well, I can basically copy and paste here. Okay, so flight type, another character maybe, right? Another character, and the values that should be available is D or I for domestic or international. Okay, so we're going to ask user, specify this information. They're going to give us that. Now, earlier on, at the top of this document, it was saying that there should be two sides for the flight, which is basically the departure info, right? And also arrival info. You can name those things any way you want, right? It's up to you how to name those things. But you see my style. I don't use a lot of abbreviations, acronyms. Basically, make it as readable as possible, and it's still not bad. Yeah, right. Thanks for the in English language, everything is very terse. The words are short. They can be combined to form combined words, and it's very successful. Very neat way of doing things when we do programming. So now the type of these two guys, the type of thing is another object, and that object, something I mentioned, may be named departure arrival info, right? So here I can just simply specify that the type of this is departure arrival info. That's the type of this. This becomes an object reference in our case, right? So we have two instances of departure arrival info as part of every flight, right? Let me actually use something like this. Essentially separate my classes by the headings like this. And so there's flight, right? And there's its methods are here. But over here, I will have another class described, and this will be departure arrival info. Okay, let's work on this part. Obviously, it comes from here. Day of the week. Again, very quickly, private data such as day of the week. Day of week should suffice, I think, or something like that. Right, so again, this can be changed later. For now, I'm assuming that this may be just a character, because we need to store a single character, and those are characters describing days of the week. So again, I can use some version of a comment here, basically reminding myself this is what I'm expecting in this field. Departure time, right? So strangely, departure time. Strangely, this thing is going to be just an integer, right? Because this is like 24-hour clock. Departure time. Oh, by the way, don't say departure time, because the departure arrival info class should work with both, departures and arrivals. So how about we just say time? Or how about this? Military time. That's perfect. Military time. So this is just an integer. Okay. What else? Airport code is a string. So the departure or arrival airport is specified. This is another private string. Airport code. It's a string. And then departure gate. So this is simply a gate, right? Gate. And gate can be entered by the user as a string. That's my assumption. Okay, so we can say that this should be in range from 000 to 1159, right? Other entries are. I'm sorry, absolutely. Of course. Thank you. 2359. Thank you. 24 hours, not 12 hours. Perfect. So. Exactly. It is. It is. Now, what methods I'm going to need along with this class, I will be deciding at some point soon, I suppose. But what's missing in this picture, and I'm thinking there's a menu, that's fine. What other thing that we're missing here is the actual schedule. We need the schedule. So let's save this.